I was talking to Zach about this the other day. As you know, AdCrate and Foreplay go back for quite a while. And I was saying, oh man, I am so personally excited for this call because you're launching something in 2026. It didn't just launch and kind of like fizzle out. It was huge. It went, I mean, it was pretty much my whole timeline for a whole week. Uh, and it's a great product. I mean, like it's a personification of like a labor role, which you guys have seen sometimes doesn't work, sometimes works very well. But yeah, I think it's a great product with customers at Foreplay. I love it. I think it's a great idea. So yeah, I was super excited for this conversation as well.
Yeah, the same here. And I think we have an interesting angle because, I mean, if nothing else, like we literally, we built the product that me and my team was screaming out for. Like that's why. And I think we've had a lot of feedback over the last few weeks of people saying like, this feels like it's been built for us. It feels like it's been built for strategists. That's because, my kind of core thesis is to have as many people on the team who know ads close to the product. And, I was a big part and the team were a big part in driving it to where it is. And I think that's, we just literally just tried to build a thing that was for ad create and for the agency, which, yeah, I mean, even if no one else uses it, I still use it and I still find it very valuable. So I hope other people do too.
Yeah. What was the big? This is, I guess, a burning question I've had in my mind for a while. I wanted to message it to you, but I thought it'd be better to leave for the podcast. What was like the motivation to like personify it as like a AI creative strategist? Was it to like place it as a labor replacement and help your customer like understand it like that, or was it to actually become like a problem oriented tool, right? As in a solution oriented tool, even? Um, because you can see tools like brief writers, AI brief writers as like they're a tool, they're part of the stack, but they don't actually solve the problem. They let people come in and use that tool to solve the problem. But like using a personified piece of software, AI piece of software, it's a little bit more related to the solution that you would expect from an employee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give my take, and Manisha, I'd love to hear what you say
No,
as
you
well. But
go
like,
ahead.
for me, the whole idea of Parker and what we're trying to do is empower teams to make more and better ads. So we wanted this to feel as much like another team member as possible. Like he's inside your Slack channel, so you can talk to him inside of Slack, and like I just felt like it would be a lot more personable if it's actually he's got a human name. I mean, actually, a few people have asked us this. Like the origin for the name Parker was because we had the idea like early on to be like all the different Marvel characters would be their own agents inside the Slack channel. We end up being Parker because of Peter Parker, and like he turns your strategist team into superhumans. So yeah, the whole idea is just I think a lot of the AI tools in space are exactly what you said, Jack. Like that they are tools, and we really want this to feel like having a senior strategist on your team, hence why um, we branded it as such.
I think also, um, being having the personified branding, it's really like that's the new wave of what's possible with all of the AI technology that's coming out and that's continuing to get better and better. It's not intended to be necessarily like a labor replacement. We actually have a very, I mean, I feel like what is maybe a hot take, which is like we very much believe that humans will be involved in the creative process. At least some human will be, like the process of creating a brand, whatever service. It's not just D2C. It could be literally anything. We have SMBs using Parker, being power users of ours, and the common thread here is that uh, you just want your team to be able to do more, right? And Parker is that hire that you wish you could make, that essentially 100x's what's possible, from the perspective of creative volume, quality, and ultimately getting customers in an efficient manner. And so that's kind of the backstory. And what Alex said about the personalities, the V1 of Parker was actually it was Parker and then a bunch of other names of agents. It was like so it was all from the Spider-Man metaverse. Like think like Ben, Penny. And so that was like the team kind of like came together and somebody on the team was like, hey, what about Peter Parker, like the metaverse? And I was like, okay, maybe that's, yeah.
No
That
way.
became, yeah, that became very confusing though, because then it was like, okay, Ben is in charge of searching your customer view or searching Reddit for you. And then it got like confusing on how to, so we're like, we'll just have one agent, but underneath Parker, there is hundreds of agents working for you 24/7.
Yeah. I am also very bullish on the idea of like making AI sound like a teammate rather than just a tool. Like, for example, there's an Easter egg in the product that actually, if you ask Parker like who he actually is, he's actually based on one of our co-founders, Jimmy. He'll say that like, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but like he'll say that, oh, I've got a wife and 2 kids. I live in Minnesota. I support the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I've been doing creative strategy for 8 years. It's like we really tried to make him like an anti AI, like sound like a human and act like a human. Like I was chatting with Parker a few weeks ago. This I didn't even know we'd built this in, but this is one of the most impressive things that I've found from the tool so far. Is I asked him to go and create an ad, like recreate a TikTok organic video that went viral, and he actually said, no, I'm not going to do this because this isn't a good fit for your brand. And I was like, wait, what? Yes, please go and do this. Because at this point, I was just really curious. And then he goes, no, this is not a good fit for your brand. And here's why, because of X, Y, and Z. And I was like, wow, like that actually feels like having a senior strategist on the team who's telling me when not just always agreeing with me and telling me this is a great idea. He's saying, no, I don't think it's a good idea. And why? And I probably could have got him to do it if I prompted him hard enough. But like, the whole idea of making him feel like a senior hire and a human on your team, we're just obsessed with.
Other than like wanting to build something that you yourself wanted, what was the goal behind building this company?
Yeah. Um, I mean, obviously the very first and foremost is to solve an actual problem for people, right? And so having Alex on board and having, that great experience behind that makes that really possible. We have like an ET connection with the market. I think the overall goal here is really to be that missing, that in an age of AI, there you can pretty much create a business using all these different tools, right? You can literally code gen a whole website. You can do all these, automations to run all your processes. There's this idea of like a one-person billion-dollar company that everyone's talking about now, and there's a missing piece in this whole puzzle, which is no one's really solved with AI the ability to get customers easily, right? And that's still a hard problem. And so, from a like high-level goal or vision perspective, we envision there to be exponentially more amount of businesses in the world, simply just because it's getting easier and easier for people to start them. And Parker is the missing piece for every entrepreneur in the world, whether they are very large or very small or very large, to be able to get customers efficiently. And in an age of AI, attention is what matters, right? Everyone's gonna be fighting for that, and Parker is there advising you, helping you do that.
That makes sense. Well, I guess like so actually I don't know how you guys are capitalized. Did you guys raise money to build this, or did you bootstrap it, or like what do you think is needed to accomplish this mission? Is it a bootstrappable business? Is it something that you want to have capitalized? Like what does the company building side look like? Because like most of the
Yeah,
people who watch this are other SaaS companies, so like they're like honestly most people get curious about like how do we build the business? You know what I mean?
totally. We are venture backed, and so we raised a pre-seed recently, and are in process right now of raising additional based on the excitement from the launch. I think, this people ask us all the time, you can maybe bootstrap this, right? Because this kind of service that we're offering, right, the margins are pretty good when you're offering this level of quality or this level of output, and then underneath it all is really, what was once a service of people is now actually AI doing it all, the fulfillment, right? And so there is a world where someone could build a bootstrap version of this. I just think when me, Alex, Jimmy, the rest of our team, right, talk about this, the opportunity is so much bigger than simply just like the wedge that we're in right now around research, strategy, and planning for creating good ads for teams. Right, there's the whole flow that we can do. Right, think not just the planning, but also the production, the performance. Right, there's other parts of the marketing funnel, whether it be like retention or organic. Right, that is all influenced from what we're building with Parker, which is essentially is an AI marketing brain. It's not just like it's specifically for paid ads, right? But like we're literally like trying to train AI to think like a top creative strategist. And that's that from if you're able to do that, you're able to impact all parts of the marketing pipeline for businesses.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I think most other operators who would hear this would wonder two things. Like I would wonder two things because it's like something that I talk about with my friends all the time. One is, could someone do this with Anthropic, or is this in the like direct path of Meta and what Meta's going to do with between their own tools and Manus or how whatever configure the like what the configuration doesn't really matter, but like one of the big labs. And then the other one is, if not, what is your view on because it's a super competitive space, like this idea of the marketing brain, and I guess I'm curious how you think about at what point do you worry about competition. I guess like yeah, those are the two things that I think most company, and I mean a big part of the reason why we're renaming it from SaaS operators is like, I think it's like hard to deny like what Anthropic is capable of at this point and what you're capable of doing on your own in Cloud Cowork and Cloud Code. So I'm really curious how you guys think about those two things.
But Alex, do you want to take the co-work part, or like what do you? Because I said, Rishabh, you're essentially asking like, how is this different than something that that potentially Facebook will do, or you could do in Claude or something like that, right?
I mean, well, I am curious for you guys, but I'm even more curious at a meta level because I will tell you that like everybody is talking about whether or not Claude is going to kill their company.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is like not that is like a thing. There's just like I mean, it's silly not to talk about it, right? As like if you're in like SaaS 1.0. So I guess like that is yes, that is one of the questions, especially given it's directly in line of what like Meta has said. They say like give us your goals and we'll take care of the rest. Uh and then the second part is I'm curious about competition, right? So just like with increasing businesses, everything is getting more competitive. I mean, like we have competitors that are sprouting up all over the place. Like competition is like abound right now. And so I'm curious how you think about that. And I mean, of course, I'm happy to share, but yeah, I'm really curious how you guys think about that.
From the strategic perspective, what we're doing is we're focusing on what we believe is actually the kind of missing piece in this whole idea of understanding whether or not an ad works or not. It's the actual process and the strategy behind the produced asset. And so it's almost like when you're creating ads on a team, there's like this subjective that then goes into the objective, where there's this debate internally around saying like, oh, is this actually a good headline? Is this actually a good concept, angle, whatever? And you have data that backs it up, right? And so, but it's ultimately subjective. Like you can use data to inform it. Right now it's heuristic based or experience based, right? And people are saying we'll use AI, right, to learn and essentially feed the entire loop. But there's a missing piece in that. If you just have the assets, you don't actually have the process by which those assets were created, right? Like you don't know that the way that creative strategist actually created that concept was they went to TikTok, scrolled it, saw an organic ad that's actually organic post that's actually ripping right now, and then they've readapted that, right? Like that's a good process, right? And like creative strategists know that, right? And so that's one thing that we are kind of focusing on that then becomes actually applicable for every part of the marketing funnel, because when you're talking about a world of hyper personalization, the production is kind of like it's just an API call, right? Like that's where it's like, okay, Google will do it, Meta will do it, whoever will do it, right? But that actual strategy layer is actually very tough. I think Alex can speak to maybe some of the stuff we're doing on the actual context engineering teaching side, because this is actually one of our core theses as well.
We're not reliant on, like we definitely had those conversations internally, as you were saying, Rashab. I think a lot of people assume that Parker is able to be rebuilt or like doesn't have that much of a moat around it. But the moat isn't the features and accessibility to the data. Like I could go and Claude code, something that pulls from Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, all the different features, this weekend if I really wanted to. What would be more difficult for me to recreate is the last 12 months that we've spent researching and going through the thinking process of why a strategist chooses to go after, like, why do you choose to recreate this TikTok? Why do you choose to go for this new persona that you've seen in on the 7th page of a Reddit thread, rather than just studying, rather than just saying, like, here are the 3 successful outputs, here are 3 winning scripts with 3 winning headlines. We've spent a lot of time putting together documents of the sometimes hundreds of pages long, to feed into this knowledge base that helps Parker understand how to think. And we could be wrong in that bet. We could be wrong. And Manus or Anthropic could find a way to learn that without necessarily having domain expertise. Our bet is that by teaching this thinking layer and by continuing to invest in the top strategists and understanding not just what a winning output is, but how they think, that we will be able to get to the end goal, which for us right now is good ad ideas and hence good ads, better than anyone else can, whether that be an incumbent or whether that be competition of ours.
I'm keen to hear what you guys think about this in like reference to what Rashad was saying about Meta saying, give us your goals and we'll take care of the rest, right? TikTok Shops, I'm not sure if you guys have, I imagine, Alex, you've spent a fair amount of time in TikTok Shops, recommends that you sell products that your brand doesn't sell, right? It's like, hey, these products are doing well right now. Why don't you start selling these, right? And obviously, I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, but every time I see that, I'm like, well, I don't sell that. The friction there is my bias, right? And I don't think that that's going away. So I don't know, let's say you sell engagement rings and it says, hey, you should sell these like tiny little keychain fluffy dolls, right? Actually, maybe there's a overlap here. Maybe that works.
Labubu, Jack. They're called Labubus.
Labubus, right. Labubus might work for a jewelry store, actually. But let's say it says popcorn. Hey, how about you sell popcorn? Popcorn's trending right now. And you're like, well, we're not going to sell popcorn. We sell rings, right? And I think that is the role of the human in all of this. It's deciding what you're going to do. And maybe that isn't the role of Claude or Meta or Manus or TikTok to decide for you, to say, hey, you should sell popcorn right now because popcorn's doing well. It's entrepreneurial judgment. It's taking action without knowing sort of a consumer forecast of what people are going to want, right? And then how you go about that is where Parker steps in. It draws that map. It's the strategist from A to Z to get to your goal. And the doing part is completely separate. That could be Claude. Like that could be the API call. That could be whatever layer is executing, right? But still, crucially, that bias about what you're going to build or what you're going to sell in the first place, and the verification at the end that it actually met your expectation, right? Like in the world of Claude, this is the prompt, right? Claude actually doesn't work without you setting it in a particular direction, right?
Mhm.
Then there's the markdown, which is how it's going to go about doing the thing, the skill, right? With, increasing layers of complexity. There's the SDK, which, for all intents and purposes, could be an agent, but it could be a human agent as well. It's whatever execution power you have. And then there's the review, right? That cybernetic process of, what do I do next now that the thing is done, right? The thing being whatever step forward I took, right? Actually, it surprised me and it did incredibly well. Let's go in a different direction, right? My direction has changed. Or it's done it wrong and let's go and fix this, right? I don't know. I couldn't agree with you more, Maneesh. I think that's where humans fit in. It's an entrepreneurial judgment and that final review as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I just think that the rate at which at least Claude is improving, we can, let's just like leave Meta AI and whatever
Mhm.
may or may not be happening there aside for a second. I just think like the single most existential thing for any software company, software meaning SaaS, agentic, all software, is like, what is possible to do with just me and Claude? Like that kind of is the most existential question for any, like, especially for people who listen to this show. Like if they're not thinking that, I don't know what they're thinking. You know what I mean? And so like getting Maneesh and Alex's perspective on like, hey, there's currently like heuristic judgment that is like slowly being taught to their system, is essentially a different way of saying proprietary data, or it's a cornered resource, right? The cornered resource is good judgment on like how to think about the use of this data, which today is not trainable, right?
Hmm.
And there was this like really good A16Z piece by Alex Rampel, I think. You guys should read it if you haven't read it yet. It roughly boils down to there are only like all the other moats are gone.
Mhm.
And there's like two moats left. It's network effects and it's cornered resource. Okay.
Mm.
And I think that, I mean, you guys tell me if I'm understanding correctly, but I think what you are arguing is that this thinking to you is the cornered resource, right? Or like the resource that other people don't have access to. So
Yeah, that's our. I think actually our business has qualities of both, frankly. And we can tell you more about where we actually envision network effects to come in. But
yeah,
from a corner resource perspective, spot on. I mean, like this is why if you go into Claude right now and you just like give it, even if you give it your customer reviews, which is painful by the way, you have to upload all this stuff, go on TikTok, whatever, do a bunch of intermediate steps, right? So people are using Parker for the convenience of that as well. There's also something to be said with that, right? And actually having value there. But when it's a actual corner resource around the knowledge itself, right?
yeah, exactly. So here, moats that matter aren't going away. It's kind of funnily written. I will say that. I mean, it's a great article, but it's a little funny how it's written because actually switching costs are the first thing he says under moats that matter aren't going away, but then he says that switching costs are going away is the TLDR. So you guys don't have to read all of this, but trust me that that's the case. Network effects, they're not going away. Scale is going away. But it will benefit bits and atoms over just software. Brand endures, but the problem is that agents are going to make decisions. So actually, the concept of brand is going to change. So again, brand is going to change, and then cornered resource. And this is the key. This to me is actually the biggest insight, at least in the context of this article,
Mm.
right? Again, we don't have to like agree with everything because most businesses, it's like hard to create a network effect, like a true network effect after the fact, right? In most cases. The idea of a cornered resource, I think, is going to become more and more dear. And then it becomes a question of like how cornered is a cornered. So like, I'll give you a good example. LinkedIn doesn't have an official MCP. Okay. And so what that means is, I'm sure you guys know this, but like effectively what that means is that if I want to do something through Claude in LinkedIn, I actually can't. I have to go into LinkedIn. Otherwise I risk getting banned. Right. And so they have like cornered the resource of their network, basically. Right. Now, on the other hand, there's a bunch of things that are like no longer cornered resources, like the data in your CRM. That's now accessible freely, right? And so, yeah, it just like makes it a lot harder for like while the theory makes sense to me, I feel like the practice of it is so much more complicated now.
Completely agree. It kind of honestly, when we start thinking about all the AI, like how far things are going now, it really does put pressure on all these. Like, there's only a few things that matter in terms of defensibility, right? In a world where I could feasibly in 6 months, 12 months, essentially just take screenshots of your entire product and then just say, AI, go build the entire thing. Like, what do you have left? Is kind of like that's the discussion we're talking about, right? Um, and it's kind of crazy.
Not even that. You can buy the product, interact with it, tell your agent to interact with that agent, and learn everything from that agent.
What DeepSeek doing that with Claude?
Totally. You can extract the system of record or whatever is in there, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Or you can do like, I mean, like that's what a lot. I mean, it's not exactly this, but that's what a lot of these open source models are that are like so small, right? It's their distilled models, which is basically like taking advantage of the training that exists. You distill it by like asking it questions, and then you get like you do like a 90-10 type of thing, right? On the
Totally.
distilled model.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new world out there. I think the way that we think about it is in the immediate term, it's very clear. We have a like what we're saying cornered resource. We have proprietary knowledge that no one else has, or at least some people do have, but it's very hard to acquire it, right? Because you have to have the right people on board and you have to ingest that information in the right way, all that kind of stuff. It's challenging to accumulate, right? So and that's the creative strategy knowledge, right? And that's just by virtue of having folks like Alex and all of our amazing creative strategists on the team, we're able to then imbue that into the AI. So it's not just like a generic smart AI PhD sounding, giving you ads advice, which we all know is not really that's not a good creative strategist. They can be very smart, but if they don't know about creative strategy, it's not very good, right? So that's immediate term.
Do you think the insight from this, and I don't ask this as like a, yeah, like I'm genuinely curious on this. It's like, do you think the insight from this is poorly documented, hard to systematize knowledge is the most valuable? So let me give you the opposite example.
Yeah.
The opposite is like things that are highly documented, tax, law. I mean, actually, legal strategies are very complicated. They can be non-documented, but the reason why Harvey is so successful is that there's so much that is documented, right? So is the insight that is more generalizable to other companies to corner a resource that is poorly documented and like high variance, basically?
I would well, my interpretation around Harvey's success is that they're successful because I mean, one because they've taken a very complicated workflow and then they've imbued AI to essentially like make it more efficient. But there's always a business there because there's a human interaction. Like I believe that a person will have to show up in court to do like most things. You know what I mean? So like in
Yeah,
that
exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that feels like a business that will for sure exist, and like there will be humans using an AI to essentially like enable that process. And so it's like whoever creates, the AI that essentially handles all of those different edge cases around the system and then starts to build up institutional process knowledge around it is going to be the winner there, right? And so that's kind of how we would think about it. I'm curious, Alex, like when hearing Rishabh say, I'm curious your thoughts on that as well from the creative strategy perspective.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that our uh, like I just said, our bet is on the thinking layer of the context engineering inside of Parker, and that like we have spent like a lot of time refining those processes and making sure it thinks like a strategy on a team. So whether it is done through the Parker products, whether it is done through like some kind of connection to Claude, like our bet is that the hardest thing to replicate is not the actual connections to the features, but like the brain and the thinking behind it. And that's the bet we're making.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like it is hard to. Oh, I was just gonna say. So then it does sound like it is a poorly documented thing, right? Like, because if it was well documented, you would like someone else would just connect to that documentation. So
Exactly. Yeah. And it's evolving too, right? Because like as the world changes, there are new techniques, new theories that come up, and it's like a pendulum that's swinging back and forth, right? So it's forever a need in that sense.
It's also being able to do that across, 50 different industries for an account that is spending $100 million versus an account that's spending $1,000. You know, it's rare that you can get someone who is able to document and like see it across that many different use cases. Oftentimes the people who be documenting would be working in house at a brand where they might only have the process for that one brand, whereas being able to document at scale and then apply that to a brand regardless of industry or regardless of size, you're right, like is a lot less common.
I think if we zoom out a little bit and look at the interest in moats, it's because we're trying to set a good direction, right? Trying to make good decisions, a direction to solve a problem that doesn't get solved by Claude on a short time frame, right? We want to educate good decision making. We want to educate our bias because there's so many directions you could go in. You could build a habit tracker or another AI ad generator like Icon, or I don't know, an ad launcher. I know so many people who are building ad launchers. Just like they're looking at the task of launching ads in Facebook and they're like, this is too long. Either I do it or a VA does it or whatever it happens to be. That we need an ad launcher. But there's so many out there. They're all going to be free because they just want the user base, right? So I don't know. I think that it kind of comes back to that place and the reason why a human is still involved, right? The reason it's Richard and Claude and not just Claude, right, is because it needs direction. It needs to decide what it's going to do next, right? And I think on any reasonable time frame, AI is going to be able to solve a greater breadth and depth of work at increasing speed, right? But it's still going to require direction and verification, right? What is our bias? What are we doing here?
Yeah, totally. One reaction I had just is like, I do think that anything that is dashboard only or workflow only is dead. So like a tool that like helps you launch ads, that's a workflow tool. I don't know what to say, man. Like if you're a dashboard only or a workflow only tool, it's tough. It's tough. It's going to be tough sledding. Yeah. Again, depending on how you capitalize,
You're saying as opposed to being an agent, is that correct? Like as opposed to being an actual like not just one workflow, but an actual autonomous like thinking layer that can actually do a wide breadth of tasks and actually reason about it. Is that correct?
Well, I guess what I mean is, so this example Jack gave, which is a great example of like launching Facebook ads. There's no like cornered resource. There's no network effect. It's like literally, give me the ads. Tell me how to, like in plain English, tell me how to write them, how to send them, which is like an agentic workflow. But you could use Claude or Mana. I mean, you could. This is the type of company or tool that I would worry about, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like things that are dashboard only. Like I gave the example, I think, in one of our previous episodes where I like don't buy anything that doesn't have an MCP server anymore. And so like I don't give a shit what your dashboard looks like because I'm going to call it through the MCP and visualize it however I want to visualize it. Right. And I think like, yes, I'm in cohort 1 of this behavior, but like eventually, this is like what work is going to look like. Right. That's all I mean. Is like I think that like is the. But in the meantime, people are going to make a lot of money with these like ad launchers. You know what I mean? Like, so as long as they don't raise any money, they can just like make money fast, which is sort of why I asked like why you guys built the business, right? Like otherwise these cornered resources, things like it doesn't matter, right? Like make something people want that they pay for, like the economy goes on, like, and we're all happy, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the why. I think the idea of going, you're saying why venture versus bootstrap. Is that what you're saying effectively?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it sounds like you guys are being very deliberate about wanting to build a big company because you're thinking about things like, how does this thing stay durable? What is the way that we... Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that then goes back to the motivations of the founders, right? And the kind of bet that you want to take, right? And the kind of, I don't know, adventure. Me and Alex and Jimmy, right? We all talk about, I don't know. There's a lot of we could spend our times on a lot of different things, right? And
totally.
And everyone
That's the beauty of life.
I know, yeah, and everyone, we have a lot of options to do a bunch of other stuff, whatever it is, right? So it's kind of like, what is the adventure you want to take? And it's kind of like at this point, we've all been like, hey, if we're gonna spend the time, if we're gonna swing, why don't we swing big, right? And really big, because and then as we've built it, right, we think more and more that there's an opportunity to actually build something that's like a generational, Shopify level type outcome, and like the vision of enabling every like business in the world, the definition of a business really changing over a period of time, very very quickly, to be able to get customers and connect with people online is pretty compelling. And so we're on the crazy journey of doing that now. So you're seeing in real time.
Maneesh, did you build a company before? I mean, I know Alex's company. I know AdCrate. So, but did you build a company before this?
Yeah, this is my second go around with the founder journey. Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and I by way of introduction, I'm a software engineer by trade, AI engineer. So did, I don't know, every buzzword you can possibly think of. Me and my buddies have been into AI, crypto, all that kind of stuff. Went to Stanford undergrad, and like specialized in natural language processing specifically. And so come from the Silicon Valley tech like sphere, and I've worked at a bunch of startups, a few that have actually been on that ride of $1 billion companies, and I was there kind of series B, series C type to
Yeah.
see it all, so yeah, definitely it's been quite the journey for sure.
That's awesome. How did you and Alex get to know each other? I actually have no idea, because I know Alex only through AdCrate, and yeah, so
Yeah, we met through our co-founder Jimmy, and so Jimmy and Alex, as you know, they like got close last year, did the course, and Alex, you can tell more about how you guys met, but essentially Jimmy and I grew up together in Fargo, North Dakota. So we're so the common thread is this random fun fact that we're from North Dakota, essentially me and Jimmy, and that's how we know each other. And then Jimmy and Alex know each other, and then we all got put together here.
got it. So two guys from Fargo and one South African is like that's like the beginning of a joke,
In fact, I'm actually not South African, contrary to popular belief. Everyone thinks I'm South African, but I'm actually a Brit living in South Africa, and I'm about to be a Brit moving to the state, living in the States, because I'm moving to Florida next month. But yeah, people have told me that I've picked up the accent since I got here.
No, dude, you sound so British to me. So
Really?
British.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, you kept the accent. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Dude, Jack, how can you actually tell? That's crazy.
yeah, for sure. He reminds me of hometown. I imagine we're not from too far away from each other. Alex, where in England did you grow up?
East London.
East London, yeah, or West London, Kingston, if you know it.
Yeah. I lived in Hammersmith for 2 years.
Kingston, if you know, dude, what a douche. That's like saying I went to Cambridge for college. Kingston, if you know.
Oh no, I didn't grow up in.
Oh, it's like a tiny town in Surrey, half London. So there's lots of.
No, you were definitely in a better area than I was, Jack. I was in Dagenham, not the most pleasant area to grow up.
Yeah. Well, guys, we got to do story time. I can't believe we got this far. I think we got into like the meat and potatoes of it, but we got to talk about this launch. It was a pretty exciting launch.
Yeah, I mean, we had a feeling it would do well. Internally, I mean, I said to the team internally, like, if we hit 1 million views like total, then it's a good launch, and then obviously we had our targets for revenue and signups. It did 1.4 million in 24 hours. And then crazy story about the launch. It actually got taken down by Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw, but after 24 hours, I woke up one morning and the people, like, I got 10 texts from different people saying your post has been taken down. Like, what's going on? So I log into Twitter and my account's locked. And then I come to find out that we were working with Shown Media for this launch, Matt Epstein. They did a great job. And they were the ones who were helping us coordinate the launch. They helped do the strategy for the video. They helped edit the video. They have a great team. And Matt, who's the founder of Shown Media, quotes and goes like, "Oh, congratulations, Parker team. Like, this is an epic launch. You guys absolutely crushed." That somehow gets to the head of revenue at X, because Levels.io does a post. He has the head of revenue at X, because Levels does a post saying like, "Oh, I'm done with these paid partnerships. This is just such a problem in the AI space." It's like the dude just literally helps us with the launch video. It wasn't a paid partnership. So the head of revenue at X just goes like, "Oh, DM me and we'll get it sorted out." Then, long story short, they take our post down. We end up speaking with Nikita X and then Elon's brother to get my account back up. So it ended up doing 1.4 million in 24 hours. In actual fact, it probably could have gone to do quite a bit more, but it was a bit of a blessing in disguise because we had more demand than I think we had forecasted. So, we kind of got a little bit of breathing space while that post was down for the next 2 days. And it was stressful because I was like, oh my goodness, like a lot of AdCrate's business comes from Parker, comes from Twitter, and a lot of Parker's will do too. But we got it back. Everything was fine in the end. It was a bit of a hectic week.
What the fuck?
But yeah. Oh, it was Dude, I mean, Manish, I was up until 5 a.m. every night. I barely
Yeah,
slept that week. I barely ate. It was a insane week.
it was. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just limited to that 1 week, right? Because like things have continued with the volume of demand and excitement, and Alex was doing an incredible job along with the show and team to just do all the blocking and tackling and make sure that people's questions were answered, and posts were you gotta keep on engaging with folks to actually make it go viral, right? Like that's probably like for me as an engineer, like engineering background, coming in and seeing how Alex and like the rest of these master marketers actually market something was so sick. Like we're in like the war room, like like the details of what to say and what to do. And things don't just go viral because, like you need to obviously have the raw materials. You need to strike a nerve. Obviously we did that with the thesis of Parker. But to actually like make it go is a whole other thing. And so they did an incredible job with that. So, yeah.
That's
How did
wild.
you guys keep up with the demand? I imagine, whatever sales calendars you had up had to like multiply. What did that look like? How did your sales team grow?
Yep. In 12 hours, we turned around and hired 3 people to join the team. It was like the craziest turnaround. There's other layers of this story too that are just like also kind of side funny things. So that also made it more stressful. One of our other co-founder, Jimmy, who we mentioned, he had a baby girl the day prior to the launch. So he was out doing that, and like the good father he is, and then very stressfully for me, a week after the launch, or 2 weeks after the launch, I was getting married in India, um, Indian wedding in India. And so we launched, and then I realized, I was like, oh man, this really went a lot better than I had even imagined. He's like over there being like, yo, this can blow up, and I think you can hear that, and then you like actually feel it, and you're like, whoa, this is really intense. And so I was in India for like the week after the launch, working from on this like the worst time zone ever, uh, relative to the our normal time zone in the U.S. 12 hours ahead, working from like 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. and doing wedding planning before then. So it was a full family endeavor for sure, to get through everything. But yeah, I think kudos to the team. Like we have a really amazing team. We have both on Alex was the common thread throughout, kind of leading everyone while me and Jimmy were out. But it was like we have amazing creative strategists, amazing sales and customer success folks. We have amazing engineers. Like the level of scale and demand, all the fixes. People are pulling all nighters for many nights in a row, and it's really the team. You know.
Wait, so have you guys disclosed what the ramp was after the launch?
I guess we haven't been public about it, but
You don't have to answer. So if you don't want to answer, don't. But if you're willing to, I'm like very curious.
yeah. We actually, maybe Alex and I should have synced on this before, but we essentially we onboarded hundreds of new paying customers, and so we blew past 1 mil ARR, kind of like almost 10xing overnight, and then it was it's still ongoing. So it's been pretty electric since.
And then like, what's the ramp been since then?
The ramp, it's now, obviously like the 48 hours afterwards were pretty like intense, but like in terms of the actual ramp, but now it's kind of like linearly going up. And so now it's kind of stabilizing around this like 1 mil plus north, and then kind of going up from there. We get new customers every day, few new ones every day. And then there's also an interesting motion here too around, we have a really like actually strong land and expand motion where, uh, so like half of our customers are like brands directly, right? And then the other half are
Yeah.
actually agencies.
Agencies,
so-
yeah.
And like it actually makes sense that like we're actually realizing that from a segmentation perspective, actually potentially our best customers are ad agencies, because
Yeah,
they really
yeah.
like they're already set up to produce the ads, and our whole thing with Parker is we're going to come up with really good ad briefs for you, data-backed ideas, and then you can go and do the production. And so ad agencies are normally really set up well. And so even during the launch and like right now, we're having ad agencies that have onboarded, they are landing and expanding. So like we have, I mean, we work with very, very large ad agencies. We work with very, very small freelancer type folks, people in between. And pretty much across the board, once somebody starts using Parker and they really start to see the value, it's like pretty instant. It's like onboard one brand and they're like, hey, I want to onboard all my brands. And so that's another revenue generation for us as well.
I was just going to add that uh, really the growth so far has been pretty much from that launch post alone. I mean, we like because of how busy it's been, I haven't done too much growth outside of that. If you look at my Twitter for the last month, I haven't really pitched Parker that hard since the launch because we've just been so heads down on the product side. So we've done all this, like we haven't activated, obviously we haven't activated any paid yet. We haven't done any partnerships with people, haven't done much affiliate program only rolled out like 2 days ago. So there's probably so much low hanging fruit that we've still got to tap into and that we really should start tapping into now. But most, like pretty much everything's been from the launch so far.
How many surplus sales calls did you have to jump in onto, Alex, when it first went live?
I actually did a good job of managing to keep out of most of them. But I know that we had like someone like the guy that we had originally like on his calendar was gone within a couple of hours, like for the next few weeks. And then Maneesh had to jump into a ton. Jimmy had to jump into a few, and we had another guy on the team whose calendar had to be added as well. So I tried to keep myself available to engage on social and do stuff on the customer side. But we had like 4 different people jumping into sales calls to help out when necessary.
And you learn more about the business too from some of this stuff. Like we realized that potentially, we could do a better job with qualifying folks, and people. We don't want people to have to wait for a call to get a question answered in the first. When they're excited, like we should just have a better FAQ, and like we should just allow people to kind of on board and then like see the value themselves and make that process super easy. We learned a ton from all this, but yeah, it was essentially a carpet of meetings across two or three people's calendars for pretty much until this week. Like literally we still
you guys have to, I mean, I'm sure you're working on this, but you have to have Parker be your sales agent, right? Like the first step has to be you download Parker into Slack, and then he tells you which plan to select and what version of him. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is like obvious.
Yeah.
Wait, my bigger question is actually, why are you guys even selling to SMBs?
Oh, good question. I mean, it's a PLG motion. Wait, you're talking about SMBs as like a non, like you're just talking about smaller businesses in general and not going after enterprise. Yeah. I mean, I think the PLG motion is it's just so electric. It's so cool to be able to think about like the Shopify of the world, right? Like you're servicing both small, right?
Yeah,
And that's that's really amazing, right? And so that's kind of where we see Parker being. And we're going upstream right now too. I mean, we're actually working with some pretty large brands, just even during launch, before the launch, Grunes, Legends, Lumi, right? And that's actually just the start. Like now we are actually going into the largest brands in the world. We literally were just meeting with some of them in LA this past week, and I'm starting to talk about enterprise level integrations. I think it's just from a market perspective and like product perspective, it's easy just to get to market, right? Quickly with smaller folks. And we're realizing now with enterprise, just the level of integration and bells and whistles that they need, it's much larger. So it requires more time to build, right? So
yeah, I'm really excited for you guys. Yeah, this is sick.
You know what I was surprised about? Because obviously, like, I guess you could put it in the e-com SaaS category, right? That it mainly serves, e-commerce businesses. When we signed up and we started asking it questions, we didn't even have to ask it questions, which was nice. It didn't need an input from me. It was actually just proactively sending messages into our Slack channel without me asking anything. And they were good. I'm reading these responses. Some were a little bit long at the start. And I'm like, oh man, I this is 2026. I don't have this sort of attention span. But, I was reading a few of them. I'm like,
It's for your ecom brand or B2B? Sorry, just
this is for Foreplay. We're customers at Foreplay. And
for B2B. Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is what I mean. So I was really surprised, like going through this and thinking, maybe this is, and we're e-commerce SaaS, right? We primarily serve e-commerce businesses as a huge chunk of apps and agencies as well that we serve, but it's a lot of e-com. But it was really good. The comment analysis was great. I'm seeing like common thread between a bunch of different comments and an ad angle that we haven't approached. It's gone and looked into our ad account, realized that there's this massive white space of like this whole angle that we haven't approached, and I don't have to do anything, right? I've just got that ad idea. I can go and take it to production, right? It's incredible.
Yeah, I first of all, I really appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
And it's super cool to hear like different types of business getting value from Parker. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time right now, trying to like further improve the product, having it not be reliant on you going into the product to extract value, like us pushing insights to you, pushing ideas to you while you're doing other things, and not making like I think we've had a little bit of problem with activation of some users where there's just so much you can do. It's almost like, where do I start? And it's reliant on them going to the tool to extract the value rather than just like, hey, here's things you need to know. Here's a breakdown of what's happening in your ad account this week. Here is what's happening in your top performers. You should do more like this, this, and this, and just pushing the value to them without them having to do any work.
This is another, I guess, piece of information that you guys have that the rest of the market doesn't have. And that's you've run an agency, right? You run a team that's organized not just around coming up with the creative strategy, right? Or I shouldn't say creative strategy, like the creative concepts, right, that you should take to market, as evidenced by the best information possible. But you've also got the operational piece locked down. You know how to get people to then take that creative direction and take it all the way to production, right? And I think that a lot of these tools, Chat, Claude, they don't do that piece for you. They don't go and check on your team to see if they actually launched the ads, if they did something with the concepts, or if it was all just brainstorming, right? It's lovely to jump on a Zoom call and come up with a bunch of ideas, but that doesn't launch ads in your account. That doesn't arm creators with scripts. It doesn't, tell your graphic designers what you want produced, right? So yeah, massive edge, right? I think the operational complexity, the second order effects of like what you do afterwards, after you've got that incredible information in the direction of what to launch, is understated.
It's endless. Jack, I really appreciate, man, you're hyping. You're making me feel even more hyped about the business. I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, I think the cool thing is once you actually capture that, it's like the institutional knowledge where you're talking about cornered resource, right? Like once you capture this in an interesting, like no one's really doing this right now, right? It's all happening, like you said, in meetings, or it's very, kind of all over the board on all these different tools. People use a whole different stack of tools, right, to ideate on what ads they're actually going to run and how they go about the formatting of justifying and everything, right? And so when you actually put that all in one place, right, you can then run AI to essentially fit that mold for that organization. And it's not even just like if you're an organization that has many brands, you can start to do it across your brands, right? Like that's where we want to go. Like make it as easy as possible. Literally what your best creative strategists do, right? And so it becomes really interesting from a knowledge perspective for sure.
Yeah, Jack keeps us all optimistic, like the rest of us can get a little doomery about Claude.
Yeah,
I'm so pumped. I love seeing people launch stuff. As soon as I saw Alex's launch, I was like, oh, incredible. This is going to make my life so much easier. I'm like, I'm super pumped to plug it into my brand and have my team taking orders from Parker instead of me, right? The amount of, I just have a couple of VAs. I don't have anything complicated going on at my brand, but like the amount of hand holding that's necessary to get a good idea out of the door and shipped is, and I think we're pretty dialed. Like I never have to look at the emails that we send, which is nice. Like I feel like we achieved something there if I'm not involved. But I love the idea of, wait, everything could be a little bit more strategic. It can be based on data that I don't have to dedicate an hour of my time sifting through my ad account or, our sales data, right? I could potentially have ads given to, whether it's like a I don't know, API call to generate, or it's given to my team by AI, man, that's exciting.
Just an email. Think of that. Whatever format you want. Rishabh is what you said, right? Well, you want an MCP and you want to just pull in whatever output into whatever UI or dashboard you want to have, and then go and do whatever with it, right? And we're even thinking internally now. Literally, just the call before this was with the whole team thinking about what would it look like for someone to use Parker without ever logging in to the web app, because it's not only working.
Yeah. That has to be the case. Yeah.
We're working on it right now. It's gonna happen in just a very short amount of time, right? But I mean, we already have a version of it, right? Like Jack, like you mentioned, we have the 10-day onboarding, right? When you first sign up, just Slack messages just being sent right to you, and you could get value out of that, right? But like we're trying to now make the entire product that way, right? How can we justify the value for someone in this manner such that they don't even need to ever log in anywhere? Like there's no change in their workflow at all. Wherever you want the outputs to show up, it'll just show up like it's reading your mind. And you're like, wow. And then ironically, I think that'll actually engage more. That'll cause more engagement, right? Because then it's like, cool, I actually want to click through and actually start to chat further, and actually get more insights out of this and maybe get more of this output, right?
Yeah. Guys, I know we're over time, but I had one more question, just going all the way backward. You said that you guys had raised a pre-seed and that you're considering raising a next round. Do you guys know roughly when you're going to do that?
Doing it right now. So we're in talks with some folks right now.
Wow.
And going quick. Yeah. So yeah, we have.
Are you raising here? And sorry, where are you, Maneesh? I actually have no idea.
California.
Okay.
So we'll be raising here in Silicon Valley, and we candidly, we've already started the round. Existing investors have already preempted it, coming in on uncapped safe effectively. So we already have kind of made progress towards it, and it's been pretty. I mean, it's been pretty electric. It's been busy for all these reasons, right? It's not just operating the business, but also setting it up for this next level of growth. I think we can move pretty quickly. Like the market very clearly, like when we launched, right, we hit a nerve, and like this doesn't need to be the only, like this won't be the only launch, right? Like we literally have the best marketers in the world, right, working here, right? Like Alex, Jimmy, right, Parker himself, it's like this is just the beginning, right? And like Alex said, we haven't even started any of the other growth motions that we intend to do now that things have stabilized a little bit on the product side. So
I love it. I imagine in like a week's time following Alia's suit, we're going to find out there's this massive news again. And we're going to go, oh, wow, congratulations, guys. I'm not sure if you heard, we had like the episode with Alia, and then they just sold, I think, for 30 or 69. I'm not sure.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you guys are well on your way, you don't need my help. But Maneesh, if I can be helpful, especially as you're raising here, because I know most of the funds here. So let me know if I can be helpful in any way.
Really appreciate that. Actually, we would love to take you up on that. That sounds great. I'll shoot you a note after this. Would love that.
Yeah. More than happy to. Yeah.
Man,
sounds like you
wish
guys
we had
are
more
onto
time to talk,
something.
'cause on all these questions that we're discussing, I'm curious, Rishabh, your thoughts on, in the AI. Maybe this is a decent place to just kind of end with I don't know, a thought around like with AI, right? The few moats that remain, right? I'm curious how you think about it from, because like you're also running a business, right? And I'm curious how you think about it as well, and we would love to learn from folks that are in the industry as well, like you.
I like there have been different moments in my life where I'm like, I feel like I understood the game, and then it's like, wow, I don't understand anything. And this is like close to one of those moments where it's just like you have to rewrite all of your priors really fast. And so everything that you thought you knew, you have to, like, the first job is delete everything you thought you knew, which is already pretty hard, right? Because we're like, as humans, we have egos and like all of this stuff. Which is also why I love this podcast, because I can just like ask people questions and ask how they're thinking about it. And like, I can just like hit delete on a bunch of things that are in my, in my head. So So like, I will admit to you, like in my view, the first job is hit delete on a bunch of things. I think that, and this goes to my enterprise question actually. I think something that is really underappreciated is, so I was just in New York, okay, for the last 4 days. And I'm sorry if this story goes a little long, but I was in New York for the last 4 days and I met multiple people who had not even opened Claude. Okay. In like our broader industry. I'm not going to name who they are or where exactly, but they hadn't even opened it. And I realized, and that's why I made this like very small comment earlier that like, we're probably in cohort 1. It's like the way AI will sort of permeate the industry is going to be in multiple cohorts, right? Cohort 0, as it were, is the lab itself, right? Like people inside of Anthropic or OpenAI or Meta, like they're doing it like before it even goes out, right? So that's like cohort 0. And then cohort 1 is like as soon as it's out, there are people who are using it and replacing their workflow with the thing as soon as it launches, right? And I feel like our organization has managed to put itself in cohort 1, as it were, which I think is pretty good, right? I mean, I think any company, like any Silicon Valley company who wants to build a large company has to be in cohort 1. I think that the job of people in cohort 1 is to bring the rest of the cohorts along for the ride as quickly as possible. And that's actually why I asked the enterprise question. So I actually I'm not asking it like the way a VC would ask it, which is like revenue quality and this and that. And I just think that if you are helping an individual operator, they're probably in cohort 3 or cohort 4 anyway, or like a D2C e-com company, probably cohort 4, because you can like just look at what they're doing on what, or again, it's not a fair manifestation of their reality, but like if you believe everything that's being said on like D2C Twitter, they're in like the first 4-ish cohorts. Okay. Again, not that you should believe everything that's being said, but let's just pretend you believed everything. They're within the first 4 cohorts. A lot of these larger companies are in later cohorts. And so if you believe the job of cohort 1 is to pull forward and accelerate everybody's ability to live in the agentic future, the place that's going to be the most useful to do that is going to be in the later cohorts. And you have to go find those later cohorts. And that's sort of my biggest reframe on all of this is because like our business largely serves large enterprises now. So like honestly, like all multi-billion-dollar brands and retailers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I realize is like our job has become to be, in part, in addition to product, is to be their like Sherpa to like making sure they agentify as quickly as possible, so that way they outcompete whoever their competitors are, right? And that's because like your job is to make your customers as successful as possible, right? And you do kind of, in some senses, you want to do whatever it takes to make sure that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's like the way I think about this is like in the biggest technology waves, the people who can bring people along the fastest. And then there's different motions. Like you can do it a PLG way, you can do it as enterprise. Like there's different ways to accomplish this outcome. But I think that that's like ultimately the framing that I have started to use for myself for how to think about what the job is.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think there is an insane amount of value, like low hanging fruit to be had when you go into enterprises and you hear the, like, there is so much desire in these huge organizations. And literally, like what referencing, we were just having meetings with folks this past week on this, where you hear their AI champion, they have designated AI champions internally, and they're signing up for like some of the best tools out there, what they're hearing, right? But it's hard, like the way that internally in a large organization they're trying to adopt it is they're like mandating, saying, hey, you need to use AI X% of the time or something like that, right? Because like it's even unclear of how to even get people to use it and be efficient, and the space is moving so fast. So I agree. Like literally part of the value of going into larger, especially large enterprises, is just being cutting edge, and they can just like soundboard with you and then be like, is this BS or is it not? You know, like what I'm seeing on Twitter, I'm seeing people create Claude bots, whatever, to do X, Y, and Z. Should we be doing that? And it's like, no, you shouldn't be doing
No.
Because
yeah.
as we
That's
kind
like
of-
my first. Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
the question I get asked the most often, and it's just like, oh my god, guys, what are you? Yeah.
And I think it goes back to like we've been talking a lot. We talked in the beginning of this about moats, right? And I do actually think there's a very underrated idea here, which is just around all of the nitty gritty edge cases for all of these businesses that exist that a generic AI will not solve, right? It's like there's a big issue around, whatever ad copy you put out. Is it actually like applying by the, or like abiding by the regulatory, whatever the concerns are, or like the personality of the brand or the foundation of the brand, right? It's not even, again, it's information that might not be exactly out there, but it's in the mind of the org, right? And it's important to them and it blocks them from doing work efficiently, right? These are like random edge cases in this complicated workflow that actually matter as well, right? And I feel like you're right. In an enterprise, those become even more magnified, right? It becomes even more important, right? The dollar amount of like making that mistake. So totally, yeah. See your point there.
We got to stop talking about moats. We got to start talking about boats. How do we get over existing moats? Because we're disrupting, right? We're not trying to defend this tiny market share, right? We're trying to disrupt.
Jack, I absolutely love that. That is cool, man. Yeah, let's talk about boats. That sounds great.
Oh, guys, it was great to have you on. This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, this was amazing. All right. Yeah. Maneesh, you have my email. So yeah, whoever, if I can be helpful, but otherwise this was amazing. Thank you guys for
Yeah,
coming.
Yeah, great conversation. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you,
Talk
guys.
soon.
You guys,
See
take
you.
care. Bye.